Hey there, are you a night owl? You know, someone who really comes alive when the rest of the world is winding down. Well, it turns out that's more than just a preference. It's pretty much baked into your biology. Today, we're going to dive into what that means for your health, and more importantly, how you can turn those risks into some serious strengths.
Yeah, I'm talking to you, the one who gets their best ideas, their best work done way past midnight. If you're nodding your head right now thinking, yep, that's me, then you are in exactly the right place. So here's what we've got on tap. We'll start by talking about the night owl identity. Then we'll get into some pretty surprising health connections. After that, we'll explore the science, your body versus the clock, and we'll wrap it all up with a proactive health plan that you can actually use. Let's do this. First things first, being a night owl isn't just some personal quirk or a bad habit you picked up. It's actually what scientists call your chronotype. Think of it as your body's own internal, pre-programmed clock. It dictates your natural rhythm for sleeping and waking. For some people, that clock is set to sunrise. For you, it's all about the moonlight. Okay, now this is where it gets really interesting. A huge scientific study recently uncovered a really powerful link between our chronotype, being a night owl or an early bird, and our long-term health. And honestly, the findings are pretty eye-opening.
And when I say huge, I mean it. The study looked at data from nearly 63,000 people. With a number that massive, you start to see patterns that are, well, pretty much impossible to ignore. It gives us a really clear picture. And here is the big headline from that study. Being a night owl is what's called an independent risk factor for a couple of health issues. Now, independent is the key word here. It means this risk exists all on its own, even when you take other lifestyle choices out of the equation. So let's look at the specifics. Compared to early birds, the study found that night owls have a nearly 2 times higher risk of cardiovascular disease and, on top of that, a 1.8 times higher risk of developing type 2 diabetes. Now, those are pretty serious numbers, so it's really important we understand what's going on behind the scenes.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. Well, maybe night owls just tend to have less healthy habits. And that's exactly what the researchers thought too. But here's the kicker. They adjusted for all of that. Diet, exercise, smoking, and the increased risk was still there. That tells us this isn't just about behavior. It points to something much deeper, something biological.
So, what is that deeper biological reason? Well, it all boils down to this constant battle between your internal body clock and the 9-to-5 schedule that most of the world runs on.
It all starts with your circadian rhythm. This is basically your body's master clock. It's an internal 24-hour cycle that manages everything from when you feel sleepy and when you feel alert to your metabolism and even your hormones. It's like the conductor of a giant orchestra inside your body.
And here's the problem for us night owls: social jet lag. Ever had that feeling where your body is screaming for sleep but you have to be at an 8 a.m. meeting? That's social jet lag. It's literally like your body is living in one time zone while your job and social life are in a completely different one. And this constant social jet lag creates what you could call a perfect storm. For one, it's constantly messing with your internal clock. 2, there's growing evidence that night owls might metabolize fats and sugars a little differently. And 3, all of this often just leads to less sleep, or at least lower quality sleep. You put those 3 together and you have the foundation for those health risks we just talked about. Okay, so we've talked about some serious stuff, but I really want to pause here and make something crystal clear. Hearing about these risks is not a reason to panic. Not at all. Because your chronotype is not your destiny. Think of it as your starting point. It's just information. And you know what they say, knowledge is power. So let's talk about how to use that power. We're going to shift gears now and get into a super practical, proactive health plan. We've got 6 powerful steps you can take to not just protect your health, but to really thrive as a night owl. All right, here's your playbook. Number 1, make good sleep non-negotiable. Aim for a consistent 7 to 9 hours. 2, fuel your body right with whole foods. 3, get that body moving. Find a time to exercise that actually works for you. 4, this one's huge, limit alcohol and smoking. 5, make sure to schedule regular checkups. And hey, mention your chronotype to your doctor. And finally, number 6, become the master of light. Get some sunlight in the morning if you can, and dim those lights at night. See, this is all about working with your body's clock, not fighting against it. So if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. This is not about trying to change who you are or forcing yourself to be an early bird. It's about understanding the unique way your body is wired and then using that knowledge to make smarter choices that support your health for the long run.
And that leads us to one final question for you to think about. Knowing what you know now, what's just one small change you could make, maybe even starting this week, to get your life a little more in sync with your internal clock? Thanks so much for tuning in.